Hi, everybody. Welcome to WellWrite's first webinar of 2018. Happy New Year. I'm Mark Adamski, part of the marketing team here at WellWrite. And as usual, we have a few housekeeping items before we get everything rolling here. We will be recording the presentation and the link will be sent out after the webinar. And for those of you who like questions, as most of these typically result in, you'll be able to enter those during the presentation in the questions box to the right of the screen. Just go ahead and answer them. We'll field them and have a nice Q&A session after the main presentation. Which brings me to the main presentation. Today we've got Mary Cruzy with us. She's been in worksite health promotion for 29 years. She's worked with a variety of industries, and she's focused on designing a really solid wellness and health promotion strategy for them. Back in 2009, she acquired Health Source Solutions, and ever since she's taken her team forward with it and has done some truly incredible things in the world of corporate wellness. So we at WellWrite, we're lucky to have her as a close partner, and I'm happy that she's willing to share her knowledge with everybody today. So all that said, it's time for Mary to get things going. So I'm going to turn this over to the true star of the show. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you, Mark, and welcome everyone. It's very exciting to be here. And yes, I'm from Minnesota, so I'm thrilled to report that we have climbed up to 2 degrees today out of our negative numbers, so it's just a good day. As you, Mark, kind of said, we're a worksite wellness vendor, and I like to take the opportunity to share that probably one of our expertise, or what we're known for, is this whole implementation thing. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. And my goal here is to provide you really a different lens to look at your program through, or potentially a different paradigm to look at your program, to share you ideas throughout so you can walk away with something, and to give you at least 3 nuggets that you didn't have before you attended this session today. And in keeping with the true spirit of Martin Luther King, I love to share his quote about, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But by all means, keep moving. And I've probably taken this to the literary sense. And throughout this presentation, you are going to see this little Stand Up for Health icon. I feel it's part of us as health promotion professionals, and to make sure that we're moving ourselves. So you'll see this little icon. It's kind of like a Where's Waldo thing throughout my presentation, and there are 8 of them. So every time you see them, I encourage you to stand up, or if you are standing, do at least 3 squats, okay? So we're gonna make this engaging just by movement. So on to the first thing. The programs that Health Source works on with companies on, they always want it now. How can I get there now? And so we taken a program that's kind of to the left with a puppy laying on the ground, or more of an existing program that's just not doing it, and they want us to turn it into the Catching Frisbee program. What this takes, people, is time. It takes persistence, and it takes relentless communication. So keep that in mind, that a program doesn't happen now, it happens over time. Implementation is what we're going to talk about. I'm going to focus on 3 things today: engagement, programming, and effective communication. Because if you've built it and people aren't coming, chances are this is the issue that's going on. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about, prior to those 3 things, that you have to have a strong foundation built to the program. And when I talk strong foundation, it means you have solid goals and metrics in place. You have an annual plan, so you know what you're doing throughout the year. It's not a flavor of the month where you kind of dive in and dive out. That you have good infrastructure built. Again, infrastructure means you have resources readily available to people. You have committees. You may have your program branded. You should have mission statements. So all these things help support an infrastructure so that the program can be easily delivered. And then, of course, leadership support. And when I talk leadership support, I like to move past just senior leadership and look at management and mid-level management and frontline supervisors, because it takes everyone to get this to move forward. One of my favorite postcards there is on the right-hand side, and this was a program that was done by the University of Minnesota. In their promotional piece were the Board of Regents, and those are the 5 people you see standing there. And I thought, what a great way. It's pictures worth 1,000 words. They all have their tennis shoes on, and they're going to kick off this trek across the U. And then the last thing is consistency. You have to make sure that things are coming forward at a regular pace, and you don't want to feed people with a fire hose, throwing tons of information at them, but at the same time, you can't just disappear and then all of a sudden reappear again. So that's the strong foundation. Now, I could spend a whole talk on that, but as I said, I'm going to focus on engagement, programming, and effective communication. So let me start with engagement. Participation versus engagement, big buzzwords. I look at participation as you got to get them to participate. So you're giving them the kick in the pants to at least just try it. The difference from participation is they're getting in, they're trying it, they're using it, is that engagement means that it has gone from I'll try it to I want to do it. It's fun, it's inviting, it fulfills me, it's invigorating, it's social. So it brings all these aspects up that makes a programming really exciting for me. Tom Roth with Gallup has done a lot of research on what is engagement. And when you talk about engagement at work, he came up with 5 core principles to engage employees. 1 is they know what's expected of me. 2, my opinions count. I'm listened to. 3, my progress is discussed. I know how well I'm doing. I know the goods and potentially the weaknesses. I know the mission that makes me feel important, so I believe in what our company is doing. And then the last one is that my supervisor cares about me. You probably all heard the old saying that people leave because of their boss, which is very true. So if a supervisor cares or shows concern, people tend to be more engaged. And with higher engagement comes things like presenteeism, higher presenteeism, higher or lower absenteeism. So it really brings all those things into play that we talk about in worksite health promotion. So what's engagement and wellness then? Well, same core principles. I know what's expected of me. So I challenge you, are your directions easy and easy to follow? Are your rules very clear? I can't tell you how many programs we work with where we can't even figure out what they're trying to get at, and we know the background scenes. Do my opinions count? This is really about programming to the culture of your organization and making sure you're including a wide variety of offerings so that people feel inclusive. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about how people get left out. The next one is my program is discussed. So in wellness, it's I know why this is important and I know why I'm doing this. It's not done to me or at me, it's done with me. And follow those words. Your program shouldn't be done at them or to them, it should be done with them. Them is your employees. I value the program in supporting my health journey. Again, this is aligning it with the mission. Do you have a mission and a vision for your wellness program? And how does it align with your employees? If your mission or vision is to cut costs in your healthcare dollars, you may not be aligning at all with what your employees are asking for. And that is help me take care of myself. And lastly, as I said, it's great that senior leadership supports, but what about those frontline staff? And many times the frontline supervisors tend to get left out. They really don't understand what the program is. So you haven't asked them, hey, if you could do this to help support the program, it would make a big difference. i.e., if supervisors care about me, they're going to let me participate. They're going to encourage me to participate. So that is what healthy engagement is. So how can we help create that as health promotion professionals, health promotion initiators? So these are 7 kind of core principles. when you're looking at creating engagement. Again, comes out of some fairly well psychological behavior change programming. One is you're building authentic relations. Two, the program should help connect, create healthy connections, manage expectations. It should lead by example, sharing a common vision, building on strengths, and having fun. And I know right now you're looking at those rabbits giving a high five and you're going, yeah, right, how do I do this? Kudos to you if you saw the stand up for health between the rabbit's legs. So stand up. So what does this mean? How do we build these authentic relationships? Well, I look at, again, we're shifting our paradigms. We're looking at it through a different set of lenses. So when you look at why would I build in teams when we have a portal that does tons of individual programming? And not that the individual isn't good, we'll talk about that, but teams tend to do just those core foundations I talked about. Teams will bring a program to life because there's authentic relationships. If I have to group together with 3 people for us to trek across Minnesota and we have to get so many points or minutes or miles in order to do that, I'm going to connect. I'm going to build these relationships. It's going to build in accountability so that I have somebody that I need to relate to make sure that I don't let them down. I.e., we're sharing a common vision, because if we're trying to get across Minnesota or we're trying to climb Mount Rainier or whatever our physical activity program is, we're creating and we're heading towards something that's in common. And lastly, it's fun. Team challenges are fun. They become competitive, even though they might be cooperative in nature. So it's really a great way for you to look at moving your program forward. I'm not saying everything has to be team-based, but look at what a team can do to help build this network. I love this. This is one of our clients had done this about their wellness committee. And it's not just saying, here's our wellness committee, because I see it bulleted out in some documents, here's the 5 people on the wellness committee, black ink, bullets next to their name. Instead, they took this to another level, and they took their wellness committee and they built these authentic relations by sharing pictures of the committee and sharing why they want to be on the committee and some of their favorite hobbies or things to do. So again, are we leading by example? You bet. Are we sharing a common vision? Absolutely. Are we getting people get to know us, that human side? Undoubtedly. And you know what the bonus is? The recognition of your wellness committee. They're being recognized for being part of this effort at your company. But you don't just take this and you stuff it on a website somewhere for people. If they dig 3 layers deep in your company website, they'll be able to find it. No, you make posters, you hang them around, and for a month they're out. And then 6 months later, you resurrect them and you pull them out again. This is what keeps your program visible. It brings it forth and says, yep, that's it. So here's another one, same company did, which I love again. This is about lifting up people. One of the things we know is stories are tremendous empowerment and motivation devices. So telling a story. This company does a Healthy Heroes. People have to be nominated for this. They get 12, they have 12 nominations a year. It's a big deal. Obviously, the employee has their given their stamp of approval on the whole thing. You just don't go out there with it. But this is moving past Snapchat, where there's bombarded with lots of information about goofy pictures that you have no idea why, and throwing in some authenticity. It's throwing in, here's how my vision and here's how I got to it. It's how I built on strengths and related to other people. So again, it's a powerful tool. This can be done within platforms. Again, there's many pieces within a portal that can support this, but take those stories out, lift them up, get them out so people can see them. Okay, you're wondering why that little stand up for health is backwards? Because this time you're going to stand up and you're going to turn in a circle and do a squat. Go. Okay, right back to where we were. Mind you, I can't see that you're doing this. So this was all in the honor system, and I'm truly hoping you're abiding by my stand up for health fun activity by participating in it. Let's look at another engagement strategy. So we've talked about kind of those 7 components, but the other things with engagement that we know is when people can find meaning and purpose in something you're doing, it's going to help them reward themselves even deeper and more richly. So when you can help build programs that pull in meaning and purpose, that talk about connecting to something greater than I or something I really care about, and finding some of those personal rewards, bring those up. Again, lift them up. Don't hide them. Don't kind of have them as the behind the scenes, but think about, how am I going to do this to help my employees? And here's a great example. Tour de Care, which is the American Diabetes Association, this particular company supports that as one of their corporate initiatives. So they did a tune up your bike, and they had a local bike shop come in and would tune up people's bikes. The fees that people paid to have their bikes tuned up went to support the American Diabetes Association and the Tour de Care. Now think about this. You have your children's bikes, your grandchildren's bikes. There's lots of different ways. So we were helping a service and making sure things were safe for people. And we were helping a greater organization. It was also a recruitment tool. If people wanted to actually do the Tour de Care, they could recruit into doing it as well. So threefold initiative here. Let's move into another quote of mine, and that is, the creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct. Health tends to be very intellectual. And being intellectual, we want to tell people why they should do it, and you know, the risks that they have if they don't do it. What about play? Carl Jung, this Swiss psychoanalyst, said this back between 1875 and 1961. So play is something that we have tended to lose, in my humble opinion, as we look at building our health promotion and initiatives. It is about health. Health is a serious thing, but yet we have to bring some fun into it. And fun, folks, can be simple things like having a beanbag toss in the lunchroom. It could be having a putting contest with marshmallows. It doesn't have to be hardcore, heavy duty, make sure that our potluck has no high fat or saturated fats in it. Make it enjoyable, make it fun. So moving on to the next piece of information here. Again, how do we go from existing laying down to catching frisbees? Well, it could be the way we program. And people say it's always the well people that come to my programs. It's never the unhealthy people that join in. Well, first of all, I always challenge that when I hear clients say that, because there are plenty of healthy, unhealthy people that do join in on your programs. But it could also be how we're programming. Do you really understand your population? So you have people that they're really so overwhelmed, they kind of roll into a ball and just really, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to do this. I'm afraid if I start, I'm going to fail. So they're kind of in that whole spinning cycle. You have the people that feel stuck, can't move, don't know what to do, fell off the wagon, whatever the case might be. Then you have the people that, quite frankly, just don't give a damn, right? And lastly, you have the people, which are those well people that are going to do anything. They're happy about life. They're going to participate because it's always, they learn something new and it's fun. So as you think about that population, how are you going to build a program design to reach that multiple tiered level of people? Have you matched your program's wants to their needs? Over and over again, we get people on a wellness committee that want to have everything geared towards the high end, and I'm going to share with you a chart in just a moment, and forget that not everybody's at the same level. And then how are you going to message to reach them? So let's talk this through. Understanding your population. This bell curve analogy can be set with your entire wellness program. You can take it and look at just a specific branch, people doing physical activity. And basically what you're going to see is the same thing. You're going to have 16% of the people that aren't going to like the program, no matter what. Don't care. You're going to have the other 16%, awesome, they're always going to participate, they're joining it, they're your yay, rah, rah people. The people we're trying to reach are those ones that are spinning and aren't sure where to start, and the ones that are stuck, or the 68% in the middle of that bell curve. So how do we really work to reach them? Because the 16% are going to probably do most programs no matter what. And some of the people on the other end, you have to hit them in the right space for them to be at a different point. I.e., let's take tobacco, for example. You have the people that love to smoke. They are the ones sticking their tongues out at you. Of your 30%, or let's go with 20% of the population that smokes, 16% of the 20 are going to stick their tongue out at you. But on the other side, you're going to have 16% of the people that are ready to quit now. They want help in quitting. And then of the rest of that population, 68% of them are going to need strategies to help them move forward. Yeah, they want to quit. It's not going to be this week, but it could be in 6 months. So how are you going to reach them? So let's start at thinking about how we reach those people in the 68%. And you might even bring in a little bit of the people on the 16% of the left end, the people sticking out their tongue at you, with messaging, just getting people to think about something. So this is around physical activity. We call it contemplator messaging. We do this in a line with Prochaska's model of change with pre-contemplators and contemplators, preparers, action, and maintenance. So those 5 categories that Prochaska uses, and this is how people change behavior. So we're going to reach those people by hanging up communications, by making it visible, whether it's at the water cooler, in a lunchroom, by the time clock, doesn't matter. We need stuff out there and visible. And it's not condoning people. It's not saying shame on you. It's reminding them. Here's one that's all about a Move It Monday. So you could even see that people that aren't maybe highly engaged in physical activity might just join in the team on a Move It Monday. These are some cute signs that got hung up every Monday. This was a 4-week program. But say you have a call center. People are hooked to a phone, can't move. Well, your Move It Monday may not be get out from behind your desk and show off those fancy shoes. Your Move It Monday might be stand up and do 3 squats every time you answer the phone. They could have size like a bodybuilder by the end of the month, right? And this is one of my favorite pictures of all times, because does this cat just say it or what? Look at the expression on his face. What we have to realize is that people that are in this stage where they're really not sure, they don't know what they want, what we call a contemplation phase, the reason they're there is because they may not realize they have a problem, although they should. They may not realize it, or going back to my tongue sticking out, they really don't care. How do we move those people? And those are the people you may want to spend less time on, but not give up on. Now I'm going to switch gears here into a little bit of thinking about, I said, take it slow, take it thoughtfully. How do we reach these people? So this is really thinking about your culture. I loved this program because it was a very tough culture. It was a manufacturing environment, 95% male. Here's the kicker. Average age was 49 years, rural Minnesota. So if you've done a lot of programming, tough nut to crack. They took it slow, they took it easy. They started out by reaching their population, the passion of their population, certainly not everyone, but probably 68% was around hunting. So they did a big campaign around gut butt fever. So they brought in a DNR person, they brought in somebody from the local store, and they really said, hey, how can we reach our people? Huge participation, guys loved it. So that was year 1. Year 2, they thought, you know what, let's do this again. It was highly successful, people loved it. So they added a venison cook-off, of course, a healthy venison cook-off. They made a big event around this. So they had the day where they brought in the speakers, and then following hunting season, they brought in this venison cook-off. Again, are you getting those people that might be sitting to the left in the 16% with their tongue out? Absolutely, because this could be something they could really relate to. Then the 3rd year, what they did is that's when they started to bring in the whole physical activity component. That was definitely a risk factor for their company. So what did they do? They got this concept of let's train to hunt, not hunt to train. Let's train to be physically active, or train to improve your activity versus hunting to improve your activity, i.e. your health. So let's get prepared to hunt. And they added an 8-week physical activity program based on the outdoors. So they did a lot of different things. I'm going to pause here. Can you see how this company looked at their culture, looked at their demographics, and said, okay, what is it we're going to do to help people come into the wellness, well-being spot? They made huge strides with this. Was this the only thing they did through the year? Absolutely not. They did other things. Was this the most popular? The high fives came from it? Absolutely. So reaching your culture, knowing who they are. Let's talk portals. Portals are everywhere right now. There's a lot of them out there. So how do we look at a portal and really maximize what it is? Even though I'm representing Well right here, I think they'd agree with me. A portal is not the entire program. A portal is a critical tool within your toolbox for your program. But if your portal, if you aren't doing things to get it alive and visible, to keep it in front of people, if you aren't driving interaction to it, keeping employees motivated by having different programs and lifting it out and putting promotional materials out, not just an email or an e-blast, looking for ways to increase participation by tapping onto other things that might be going on in the organization. That's how you lift up a portal. That's how you get people to engage with it. You want to take a portal from being participation, go in, do your HA and do 2 programs, to engagement. Gal, I love this gratitude thing that I did, something I've never thought about. I really want to engage with that. That's what the challenge of a portal is, getting people to engage with it beyond just participation. You know what? And sometimes you're just going to have to pull out the stops, even with a portal with the most bells and whistles and interactive devices there are. Sometimes moving people away from it and doing something like this, Game On, it was a paper-based thing. It was a week long. They got these trinkets if they did it. Sometimes that's what you need to do to get people to re-engage with your portal again. Or if you're doing a nutrition program on the portal, having something visible out in your environment, like this was during the summer, so they had a grow and share program. You could bring in excess fruits and vegetables, people would take them out. You're sharing with your colleagues, adding some fresh lemon water, pretty cheap, but it keeps it out there and visible about the nutrition program that you're running. Lastly, I'm just going to give you an example, or I guess 2 here, whoops. Again, what's a way we can reach that 16% with their tongue out? It might not be through what we call traditional wellness. It could be through things like finding meaning and purpose. Here's a great example, again, rural Minnesota. Now, you have to think about Minnesotans. Okay, winter apparel is part of our life. So those of you, if you're in the South, I know you may not relate to this, but just think what you might do to replace this concept. So winter apparel, bring it in clean and gently used, have something, give something, need something, take something. What a great way to bring the whole concept that wellness is gratitude, it's purpose, it's supporting each other back to those 7 core components I talked about earlier. Here's another good idea for people that are hard to engage. Now, I guess it would be men because it's Movember, is we have some great fun with Movember campaigns. If you're not familiar with Movember, it is highlighting or lifting up men's health. October is women's health, breast health, so it often gets a lot of highlight, but the men kind of fall behind. So Movember is a fun way to show through growing a mustache or beard, support for men's health. And you can do things like launch your preventive exams and trying to get people to drive up that preventive exam rate during this time, or close those gaps in care. This is a great time to be able to do that, lift it up. Okay, see, stand up for health. Stretched out long. What I want you to do is stand up, reach over your head with both arms to your right, then reach over your head, both arms to your left. Take a good deep breath in as you reach up and come back down. Okay, on from there, we are going to look at other ideas for engaging the hard to reach. I love bringing in things that support other areas of wellness. Safety and wellness really should be married. Many companies are moving towards that, but this is also a way for us to reach out to families. So bike helmets. The Minnesota Department of Motor Safety and Vehicle and Minnesota Department of Health have bike helmets at reduced cost. I'm pretty sure most states have something like this. You can also do it through a fire department, but we sell bike helmets for kids, for adults. So we're really trying to say, hey, get safe. If you're a grandparent, you can buy them for your grandkids. We're getting the message out there that movement, be ready, have the right tools to move. Again, Minnesota winter emergency vehicle kits, they're high priority for us. Does this have anything to do with healthy eating and moving more? Nope. Is it helping people live a healthy and safe life? Absolutely. So think how you can bring in other things to your folks. I'm going to pause for 1 second here and take a deep breath. So we've talked through engagement in pretty heavy detail, and you're probably going, holy cow, my head is spinning. How do I ever implement all this? The key to this is to look at your engagement and bring forth what I call a coiling analogy. What we know, especially in education with young children, is teachers present a concept, and then it kind of goes away for a while, and they present it again in a little bit different way, and it goes away for a while, then they present it again in a little bit different way. So think about math. You might learn how to add using blocks, and then you might learn how to count coins, and then you might learn how to put two sets of numbers together. So it's this coiling analogy. I love that concept for wellness. How do we keep the message out there alive and visible? I took just the topic of physical activity and I put some months in there for you. So February is Heart Month. Let's talk about how movement impacts our heart. Okay, do you know your numbers and movement and heart? So it's a communication strategy. You're going to reach that whole bell curve with this. Now we're going to do a steps challenge, and the step challenge is really to get those people to move more, make extra steps in your day. It's going to be an 8-week program. This program is going to target that 68% in the middle of the bell curve and the people on the right-hand side. You'll get your marathoners that join it, and they think it's the lamest thing ever. Well, we don't really care because they're marathoners. They don't need our help getting moving. We're looking at the 68% in the middle. So this is the program. So we're really, again, we're engaging. We're getting people where they're at to participate. So now we're into May, Employee Health and Fitness Day. This is where we're going to kind of take that coil, we're going to cycle it down a little. We're not going to let it go. Employee Health and Fitness Day, you're going to do something fun. Maybe it's between a poker walk, marshmallow challenges, shooting rubber chickens and see how far they go. Whatever it is, make it fun, make it eventful. So that's your Employee Health and Fitness Day. You may get the guys with their tongue sticking out on the left-hand end to participate in a rubber chicken shooting contest. You're getting them to engage. You're getting them to be part of what your program is all about, and that is taking care of you. Hey, and by the way, you might just promote your walking pass that month as well. The key with that is don't just promote, here's some routes. Promote 3 routes and make them time-based, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and 30 minutes. And the reason, because people can grasp a 10-minute concept. Oh, if I go that, it'll take me about 10 minutes. They don't really get, if I walk a mile, how long is that going to take? So make it easy. My communication is going to come forth here in just a minute, but make it easy, make it a strategy. You see, I brought bike helmets back up again. It's keeping it out there. It's keeping alive. This activity is an important piece. We're not cramming it down their throat. It's there. Yoga in the plaza, highly visible thing. I say plaza, a lot of companies have some kind of green area, a courtyard, whatever, that they could do yoga. Maybe it's a lunchroom, and you just invite people to try it. It's a sample platter. And you know what? The people that are sitting with their paws over their eyes are the ones that are going to take a paw off and peek and see what they're doing. Maybe I can do this. There's the coiling analogy. Think about that with your program overall. How are you keeping the message up there? You're reaching the different populations all the time just by the strategies you're using to communicate or participate. Okay, communication. I went to this seminar about 2 months ago, and I took away this great aha moment for me. And I'm hoping that you'll have a few aha moments as I'm walking through this presentation with you. But the aha moment for me was these 4 things when you're doing communication: brief, pictures, catchy, meaningful. What does that mean? Brief. Cut it in half. Write it, cut it in half, let somebody else edit it, and cut it in half again. People want sound bites of information. Eye catchers, pictures are eye catchers, and they're often something that drives emotion and that you can relate to. So when you can pick out pictures that are meaningful. Fat cat in my slide. Man, fat cat talks, right? Great picture. At least in my opinion it is. Okay, so catchy. Emotions connect. What can you do to make it funny or clever or heartwarming? Because emotions are something that draw people in. And lastly, that meaningful, with them. What's in it for me? Why should I do this? So I'm going to give you some examples here. This is a promotional flyer, and I will say one of our staff pulled it together, and I'm not going to pick on them, but I'm going to tell you there's a lot of words on this paper, and I'm really not quite sure, besides that it's a giving garden, what I should do. So here's, once it's been edited by Mary, into those 4 buckets I just talked about: brief, pictures, catchy, meaningful. Now, look at what's, it's brief. This was a giving garden. My pictures tell me about the garden. Is it catchy? Probably not terribly catchy because it's a giving garden. We just want people to participate. But look at the meaning. There's a purpose here, and I've hit the meaning. Grow healthy produce for families in need. And what do I have to do? What's the with them? I can either plant, maintain, harvest, or deliver things. See how I took a lot of words and cut it down to get to exactly what the employee is looking for. Here's another great example. We shoot things out about preventive cares, and I've seen everything from master lists of all the exams you should get, and you should have a dental exam and an eye exam and all these things. People get overwhelmed. You go into the portal and you're not quite sure which program I'm supposed to participate because you've listed 20 that they can do. Keep it short and keep it simple. Make an appointment, pick up the form, here's your reward. Pretty simple. Love this one. Pictures speak 1,000 words. Yes, the face in here would be the CEO of the company. And I'm going to put a sidebar. He's a well-liked CEO, so you could do this. This may not work if people hate you. They were having issues with people connecting their wearable devices. This is the promotional they sent out. They hung it around. It went through an email. They talked about it in safety meetings. So you can see, short and sweet. And there's Fat Cat again. Love this picture because it just has all the expression in the world. Okay, back to pictures. This is the vice president within this organization, and they were doing an Every Step Counts program, so an 8-week physical activity program, and they did weekly counts on who was ahead. His team was winning. So she captured this picture and for the article that goes in their newsletter. Now, we often have times people don't want to read things, right? How many times do we say, how many times do we have to put this out here before people read it? Well, this is where we're at. People are going to want to read that because they want to know why he's so happy. Catchy. Got the munchies? Looking for a healthy option. I probably would have stopped with got the munchies on this one because it would have drawn me right in. I'm a muncher, love the munchies. Then there's that healthy component. Here's one that I thought was extremely powerful with this whole mental illness. Again, few words, pictures, but boy, talk about meaningful. Mental illness is as common as dark brown eyes. Mental illness is more common than lefties. Mental illness is as common as silver-colored cars. What a picture that paints. So think about comparisons. How are you drawing people in? And I'm going to close with this one, which is kind of funny to me because I love this thing that says, gentlemen, this flyer's for you. It is for you. Women, you don't have to read it. I thought it was hilarious because, I'm sorry, men, but you're not exactly the first ones to jump into those preventive exams. Lastly, I want to give you an example of how we really work with our customers to customize their portal and or their communications. So I'm going to step aside. This is a tad bit of an advertisement for WellWrite, although they did not solicit this from me. But the reasons we love this portal is because the banners and what we can design for the program or for the client are specific to them. You can see at the top here, this is Delta Dental. Oh, my bad. The top here, it's Delta Dental. 1, complete 5 challenges. 2, if you want to get $100, complete 10. 3 is $150. 4 is $20. We customize this because this is how they wanted their program done. If you go down to the bottom left, this was a healthcare company. It's a nonprofit healthcare company. They don't have a lot of dollars to spend, so they did monthly challenges, all aligned with an overall well-being strategy. So it was awesome that we can take what we do, our high-touch, high-customizable approach, because we know we have good success with it, and continue to build on it with those companies that have purchased the portal. And what we can go even deeper into then is customizing the programs that they choose, the challenges that they choose, so we can really meet what the company is trying to accomplish with their, back to foundation, goals and metrics. So in concluding here, I talked about 3 core things with lots of examples. I hope you took away at least 1 or 2 nuggets of information. I talked about engagement and the 7 key things to engaging people. Take that wheel that I have provided you and lay it on top of some of the programs you're doing and see how well you're doing in these areas. Programming. Are you offering programs or communications to the X on the suck side of the group and the awesome side of the group? But most importantly, are you also really focusing on the people in the middle? Because that's 68% of your population that are sitting on the fence that you can move, hopefully to the right. You can move them into that healthy option. So the guiding principles that we use at HealthSource are, how do we keep programs alive and visible all year long? It's not a month by month, it's all year long. How do we provide a wide range of programs so it feels very inclusive? That would be topic driven. It's about a gratitude. It's about finding meaning and purpose. It's about eating healthy fruits and vegetables, or increasing your beans in your diet. Which I'm just going to put a little caution. You increase your beans, make sure you're not going to be in a crowded room for the next few days, because you probably will have some byproduct from that. And then moving into meeting participants. Where are they at? How are we bringing a program to them, not making them come to us? That would be a prime example of buck fever. How they came to the people, they brought the program to them. And lastly is this coiling analogy. We're going to change behavior by taking small steps at a time, by working at building those up and continuously reminding people about what it is, whether it's physical activity or tobacco cessation and nutrition, if it's well-being components, career well-being, financial well-being, whatever the case might be. So, stand up. I can shout this at you.
I skipped the gym this morning, but now I don't need to go after all those exercises, so that was great. I just want to remind everybody the question answer is still open. We've got a couple of some questions that I'm now going to ask Mary, and she'll come back with us with some really good answers, I trust. So, but feel free to keep filing them in as we go along here with the discussion, because usually the questions breed other questions. So the first one is, somebody quoted when you said, don't stuff it on a website, which I thought was funny, but make communication visible. And the question was, are you arguing that web communication to teams isn't as effective as old-fashioned printed materials? Or maybe just like give a little bit more of kind of like what, because I understand where you're coming from, but maybe kind of clear it up for the audience.
Absolutely. I am not saying that you should, stuff websites and not use them at all and go back to paper. That's not at all what I mean. What I mean is that you have to have multiple venues for communication. And when you think about people on that left-hand side of the continuum that are not motivated at all, they are probably not going to go in and take the energy to access something on a website or resource there. You could do push things if they have email. So, and to me, a push thing with an email is kind of like making it visible, because you're pushing it out to them and you're making them, I shouldn't say making them, they kind of have to look at it and decide whether they're going to keep or delete, right? So you push it. And so what I'm calling the paper-based or the communications, I weigh it in a push-pull analogy. You have to push information out, and then the pull is there's going to be times where people are going to have to go and find it themselves. So balance those out and realize that some people, those happy, eager people, are going to pull that information. They're going to go find it, but there's other people that are not going to. So you have to kind of push the information out.
Gotcha. This question talks about the 68% on the bell curve. And the question is, any tips for managing the parameters of the population? And then here's just kind of like my thought after thinking about it is, it's like if you took a cross section of that group, you get a lot of different objectives. So like what's kind of a go forward strategy with so many different probably dreams and desires of such a huge chunk of a company?
Right. In that, as I tried to kind of set the stage for, and apparently didn't do a very good job, this is a bell curve across most things when it looks at, it can even be finances, behavior change, grades, whatever you look at, is that you're going to have a chunk of the people in the middle that you're trying to target, okay? And when you do things like employee surveys, gather information from, focus groups, if you look at claims data and other data-driven type things, you're going to see in the middle of that curve, what is it should we really be focusing on? And I'll give you an example. When we look at health assessment data and we look at, okay, where's the population at? Probably the three most common things that bubble to the top is stress, weight, and nutrition. Physical activity and nutrition alter from 3 and 4. Okay, so they're most commonly, I shouldn't say not always, most commonly those are it. So when I look at the middle of that bell-shaped curve and I think stress, okay, let's really dive a layer deeper into it then. Who is it that's feeling this stress? And what is about it? Is it our culture? Is it the fact that they are stuck on phones because we have a phone call center? Well, you can't change the fact they're stuck to a phone, but what can you do to help the stress in that culture? You ask questions and you figure out a program for them. So the bell-shaped curve really takes you peeling back the onion a few layers to figure out what is the stress. I just talked to a nursing home. The stress is they have low labor employees, they're rural, and a stress for these people can be, my car broke down and I don't have $200 to fix it. So that stressor is very different than the middle manager who's being pummeled because they're not meeting quotas. You have to dive into kind of what are the different areas in your company and what are the largest stress drivers, and then provide reasonable solutions.
Got you. That makes a lot of sense. How important do you think financial incentives are, i.e. tying participation to medical rates or HSA contributions?
I think that the financial incentive piece, there's a lot of thoughts out there about that. So this is Mary Cruzy's thought about that. What I have experienced is that if you tie too high of reward, whether it's a premium differential, gift cards, whatever the case may be, if it's too high of reward for your population, people participate, they don't engage. If you don't provide anything, you may have trouble getting people to participate because that whiffum comes into play. What's in it for me? And so I do believe there's a great place for incentives to get people to try things, to motivate people to just do a program. I think it can be overdone. When you give somebody, and these are examples, true examples, $400 for completing a health assessment that took them 15 minutes, I have to weigh, really, is the effort worth and the reward aligned? Whether you do the reward tied to their insurance premiums, to an HSA contribution, to a gift card, I would tend to lean towards what fits your culture best. Many companies are shifting towards the premium differential and the HSA funding if you have HSA plans, because it's tying this fact that, hey, you do healthy things, you're going to get hopefully incented for that thing. Irregardless, the financial incent should somewhat match the effort. I can see giving people, $50, $25 to fill out a health assessment, or if you really, really need data because this is the only way you get it, then you throw $100 at them. But be careful, because do you want them to participate or do you want them to engage in what you're trying to do?
Everybody likes some money.
You bet they do.
What's any handy or typical metrics you can recommend for measuring engagement?
Well, there are actually, if you truly want to measure engagement, there are engagement research tools out there. I would tell you to go to HERO's website, I believe has one on engagement. And I think even the National Institutes for Health has one, or the CDC, I can't remember, has one in there. If you go to worksite health promotion, that's true engagement. But think about, and not everyone has the ability to do a ton of data and data collection. So I look at engagement too is asking questions within a pre-post seminar or questionnaire. Where were you at right now? Let's take physical activity. How many days a week were you moving now? And then you ask a few self-efficacy questions, i.e., what are the barriers that get in your way? Do you lack motivation, and why is that? We look at things then, and one of the most powerful questions we can ask is, do you think this program was a good use of company resources? And we give them kind of a 4-standard answer to that. And the reason it's so powerful is because if they think this was a good use of the company's money, it's a great thing to go back to leadership and say. The second side of that story is if they think it was a terrible use, then you better reevaluate your program and step back and relook at what that was. I will tell you 8 out of 10 times, we get people saying, yep, this was a great use of our company resources, which tells me that they are more than just doing it, they're enjoying it, and they want to do more.
Got it. On the topic of spending company money, we have a similar question. What's the typical time frame that one of your programs might have measurable or visible change as it relates to health in the workplace? Is it 3 months, 6 months, et cetera? What do you feel like is a typical rule of thumb that you could cite?
Well, that's a loaded question.
I know, right?
So I could go with the ROI. The ROI question, which is that return on investment, it's pretty good data shows it's going to take at least 3 or more years to see a direct return on the financial investment. So there's that piece. When you look at shifting a behavior, for example, and I'm sorry, I keep using physical activity because it's front and center in my head. If you do a pre and a post on a physical activity program that's 8 weeks long, typically we can see a group shift from 0 to 1 days a week to 2 to 3 days a week, 2 to 3 to 3 to 4, 3 to 4 to 4 to 5, 4 to 5 to 5 to 6. So when I say shift, they shift a whole entire group. So if people are not exercising, we're getting them to at least get out and move 2 to 3 days a week. That's pretty powerful data that we've made a difference. So that's a short-term evaluation. Midterm things, like if you're looking at biometrics, the biometrics are probably going to come in more of a year time frame. If you measure cholesterol and blood pressure in January, don't measure it again in May or June because it's too fast. You have to give the body physiologically time to make those changes. And this is assuming that we're not throwing medications in medical interventions at them. This is just assuming through behavior change, we're going to try to see some programming, or try to see some change in their data. I hope that's helpful in kind of how you look at different metrics and how quickly you can see change.
Definitely, definitely. Mary, I think that sums up our questions today. So I want to thank you again for joining us. This was a lot of fun. I loved the interactivity that you brought to a webinar, which is otherwise sitting and looking at it at a screen. So that was a plus. I wasn't expecting that, and I really enjoyed it.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Well, have a great day, everyone.
Thanks everybody. And just, you will get a summary email in a couple of days with a link to the presentation, and you'll be able to watch it again or pass it along to one or several of your friends. So thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.